All right, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're here to do a little bit of a Black Friday, maybe mailbag kind of Friday thing, just because guess what, everybody? We haven't done these in a while. So we got together for a mailbag for the in-season version of the mailbag, not on a Monday, but a fun one to answer some of your questions. So let's start off with Dr. Blah, Derek Kyle. We're all here. 17 games in, 20% of the season. What aspects of the team have been at expectation, and what have you been surprised by, either good or bad?
I think the positive surprise, let's call it a mild surprise just because he has gotten better so many times. But I think the degree to which Tyrese Maxey leveled up to start the year has been a great surprise. I think given the lack of game time for Joel Embiid and Paul George, all the guys in and out of the lineup, all the coverage attention that he's getting, I think he has come in and played the best basketball of his career. I think, frankly, some nights that's been on the defensive end of the floor as well, while other guys on the team are maybe not as engaged. He's playing at an all NBA type level, like top 15, top 10 player in the league type of level, which is not somewhere he's been consistently before. So that's been the good thing. I guess the bad thing is they still have not figured out the long-term behind Joel Embiid problem. And it's not to say that Adem Bona should be able to approximate Joel Embiid by being combined with Andre Drummond. But I think coming into the year, we felt at least okay about where they were in terms of the front court. Hey, they'll be able to, Drummond will eat some minutes, but Bona is going to come in and maybe take that job, look good in international play, look good in the preseason. He is expected to return, I think, against the Brooklyn Nets on Friday and start playing some of these games. But their front court play has been pretty awful when he's in the game, and they have not figured out a way to win those minutes. So that's been a negative surprise. I will say, though, I think they're right around as a team where we all expected. And if you would have told me they'd be 9-8 with a 2.5 week lingering Joel Embiid knee injury throughout all that, I probably would have taken it. I just think it stings that you got here after a really strong start. Joel's looking good. Maxey's great. VJ is looking like rookie of the year. And then it all begins to fall apart. I think that's been the part that has hurt relative to the expectations.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. On the one hand, like Andre Drummond is one of, I think, the real big positive surprises, which makes the short-term situation behind Joel Embiid a little bit stronger than maybe you expected. But long-term, you relied on Bona a lot, and he has way underperformed before this recent injury. So yeah, it's on the one hand, it almost feels a little more sure now in 2025 and going into 2026, but you're a little more anxious about it long-term, which is a huge deal considering Joel Embiid struggles to stay on the basketball court. They really need to get Bona back. And it sounds like he's on his way back. Probably by the time you watch this episode, he'll probably have played a game. But they need to get him back, not only on the court, but back to doing what he was doing at the tail end of last year and developing into what they need him to become in the future.
And I'll say briefly, just the good, of course, is they've been competitive. 18 games in almost. And they've been in every one of these basketball games, aside from maybe a slow start in some of these games. And then the third quarter woes, which we've talked about, that has frustrated us all. They've been in these basketball games. The problem is when you have that many competitive types of games, and then you have the lack of bodies available to finish out games with you, you have a record where you're pretty much at 500. And with the way that they started, how things looked and where everybody felt early on, not getting too overly excited, but encouraged by what we saw and the message that Tyrese Maxey has shared before the season started about what this team is going to be. He was right about, what you're going to get when you're out there on the floor as far as a competitive team. The issue is in a competitive Eastern Conference right now, where they were at the top for a very good portion, right there in that top six. Now it's just going to fluctuate, it seems, because all these teams have really good records, and you're just trying to fight through a pack here that's going to be tough all season. And when they have lack of bodies, as we talked about, with, of course, George and Embiid, and then you have Oubre, Watford, others, Edgecombe also out of the lineup for an extended period of time, you're going to lose some of these games. You can only level up so much from some of these role players. So that's the encouraging part. The fact that they are competitive, the issue is that they have not won maybe a little bit more than we expected watching the games play out.
You know what else has been at expectation, fellas? The Sixers' insanely bad delivery of injury news and the inability to deliver a message to the public without confusing, confounding, and frankly just angering their fans. The fact that Joel Embiid has been out 2.5 weeks now, and it's just being treated as a day-to-day issue. The fact that VJ Edgecombe was pulled from one game as a supposedly precautionary measure, and now he's up to 3 games missed, and we're not sure exactly when he's going to return. We had to wait an insanely long time for Paul George to get back, given what we saw from him on the practice floor and what we thought the thresholds that he had to clear to play were. The messaging has just been awful. And I don't put that on the players. That's an organizational problem. I think in VJ's case, at least we would sit here and say, we're all, I think, on board with be cautious with the calf injury in light of some of the more recent calf to Achilles problems that guys have had. I know teams are studying that connection right now. Is it as pronounced as like, hey, you got to treat this as if it's a potential devastating Achilles injury if you let this go? But the way that it is being communicated and the day-to-day nature of how they're trying to get that across, I think it's not doing anybody any favor. It's not doing the team, not doing the players, and it's not doing the paying public really any favors this year.
All right, let's get to the next question here. Let's go to Jamie with a question. After the Orlando Magic loss, given the craziness and the result, what is the most memorably bad Sixers game you have covered in your time with the team? Now, this requires you to now go back to the rebuild days.
Oh, there
was some bad nights. Some bad nights.
Easy answer. That game against the Spurs when Jerry Colangelo joined the team. No doubt about it. They lost like 50. Boban completely duped Jaleel out of his shoes. Jaleel is still looking for where that pass went. That was just everything that went on from them bringing in Colangelo to you knowing that rebuild is over and the era is changing, to them getting absolutely punked. And what were they at that point in the season? I forget exactly how many losses they had piled up, but it was you were facing worst season in NBA history, dead in the eyes. That by far jumps out.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit here because I have not been in person covering the team quite as long as Derek. But during that same run, pre-Colangelo, when they played the Lob City Clippers in Los Angeles, I think they probably lost by 40-something points. There was a sequence in the game where the Clippers threw like 3 consecutive fast break alley-oops, one of which came when Michael Carter-Williams tried to throw a pass and it went off the top of the backboard, came down to a Clippers player. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin go on a fast break, and Chris Paul throws the lob, and Blake Griffin does a through the legs windmill in transition. Yes. And it was just like, this is not even the same sport being played as these guys. And I thankfully did. It's not like I had made the trip out to LA to be at the game and had to cover it very seriously as a recap, but I was on recap duty for that game at that time. And I sat there and just really got to marinate in that one. So that was as bad as it gets. There have been some other stinky performances over the years, but that's the one that's always been burned in my brain.
I'll go to 21-22 because this one always stands out to me when they lost to the Celtics and they lost by 48. Good basketball team, Sixers were. You lose by 48 to the Boston Celtics. And I think the 48 and it's the Celtics where you combine the two, and it burned in my memory of how bad that game was, how poorly it was played. Just a frustrating game in general for that one, and I'll go with that one. Just because this is the good Sixers. This is not the rebuild, the 2 that you guys just gave out. This is the good Sixers. And yeah, any team can lose by a wide margin, but a 48-point difference between the Celtics and the Sixers, I'll go with that one from that 2021-22 season. So
I just looked up the Spurs game I referenced. 119-68 was the final score in that game. That is a 51
Is that
point
good?
loss. That is not great. There are 2 or 3 teams that always jumped out that just destroyed that process Sixers team. Kyle referenced the one, the Clippers. They were playing a different sport. Athletically, they just couldn't match up. The other one, the Spurs, because they were just a machine that picked apart any bad rotation. And the Sixers of that era with all those young kids had a lot of bad rotations. And then there were also the Spurs. It just seemed like Dirk destroyed the Sixers. And one of the bigger losses of that era, the only bigger loss of that era, was a 53-point loss to Dallas, I think the previous season in 2014-15.
Yeah.
So those 3 teams always jump out like they just destroyed that era of Sixers every time they played.
That was
Tough
bad.
break.
That was bad. Bad. All right, last one. Bottom of the roster has gotten exposed the past few games. When is it time to pull the plug on Hunter Sallis and get a playable two-way wing?
I need a duck quacking on my soundboard because you don't have to sign a two-way guy. You have a roster spot that you could use to try to get a two-way wing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You can answer the actual question.
No, I think that's the right place to go though, because number one, Hunter has not exactly played meaningful minutes for this team. So I don't want to turn this into, boy, Hunter Sallis stinks. Because what the hell am I supposed to know about Hunter Sallis, the NBA player, from garbage time minutes and whatnot? I do think though, the fact that they have 2 different two-way guys on the roster who have become entrenched rotation players, guys who play, if not every night, close to every night, and play pretty significant roles, does put some more pressure on all 3 spots. You should be getting something out of that. It should be somebody that you are comfortable putting on the floor and playing 15 to 20 minutes, especially in a situation like they're in now where it's a mash unit. They have so many guys that are hurt. They need reinforcements. I think the curious thing about the Sallis two-way contract in the first place is that they already had 1 million guards. It's not like you weren't searching for a backcourt player to absorb minutes every night, right? You were, if anything, to the point of the question from Golden Pine, you need wings, you need forwards, you need those hybrid, switchable type of players. Those are harder guys to get on two-way contracts, but I certainly would be scouring the market for any player in that mold. And more importantly, as Derek said, I would simply use the 15th roster spot.
Yep.
I think that's a fair use of your available resources.
15 guys on the contract, maybe think about using it.
Yeah. It's in particular, when we've said it before, you essentially are lighting multiple roster spots on fire for veteran players who are only playing in emergency or garbage time situations. You just have to use the 15th roster spot. It's that simple.
Totally agree. That'll do it for us here on this version of a holiday mailbag. We appreciate everybody sending in questions. And if you like these types of mailbags in our shows, pre, post, 3 p.m.s, whatever we may have, some of the other content we bring you, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. Follow us on our team account on Twitter at PHLY_Sixers. And you'll find all of our work there. And also the written content from Derek and Kyle at allphly.com as well. Make sure you go sign up to become a diehard member. You may even have a pretty good price there that you can join up there to sign up as a diehard member as well. For Bree, Derek, and Kyle, I'm Devon. We'll see you next time here on the PHLY Sixers Podcast.